We are live on YouTube for a Saturday afternoon, and the gremlins were there again. Not YouTube's fault this time. I'm using a new camera for this live broadcast, and I had a setting wrong. I think I have found the setting. Basically, I was mid saying that I've invested in a new camera. I mentioned this in a previous live broadcast, that I was going to be getting a camera dedicated to doing the live broadcast, purely because I plan on doing this on a much more regular basis. And I think I had left the demo mode switched on. Now, because the camera's not recording, it's purely streaming, it went into that demo mode after I had left the camera sitting there for about a minute doing nothing. Fingers crossed this time it does not start the demo mode. If it does, my apologies, you'll have to bear with me, but I think I have got the right settings now. So you should be watching this stream in 720p to have a really good experience with hopefully no buffering, or indeed up to 1080p. And the camera I'm using is the one out of this box here, so it's obviously set up sitting in front of me, but this is the Sony AX53. And the reason I went for this particular model is because of this. When you hold it up to the camera, it focuses properly. Let's move around onto the sides. You can see some of the features. So I hold it up and it focuses nice and quickly. And then when I move it back again, it actually refocuses on me. Previously, I was broadcasting on YouTube, or live streaming on YouTube, whatever terminology you want to use. I was using the GH5. And the GH5 is very well known for not having great autofocus. So I'll talk to you a little bit more about the AX53 in a moment, but let's introduce the live broadcast a little bit better than last time. This is being called Saturday Tech Recap. I want to talk to you about what's gone on over the past week, including the very exciting iPhone X pre-orders just yesterday. That was an extremely exciting morning for me and a lot of people in other time zones around the world. I also want to talk to you about a couple more products I've got down here from Anker. But first of all, let's talk a little bit more about the Sony AX53 and why I made this switch. Now, a big thank you must go out to Clifton Cameras. They got me this out really quickly after I made my decision to invest in this. There is a link to the Clifton Cameras website in the video description. Now, Clifton Cameras do a superb job of both customer service, delivery. Their packing is superb. You know what I've got a real pet hate about is when I buy a tech product and then the company just ships it out in a courier bag with no padding around it. I absolutely despise that happening, because even if the courier is very careful, if there is such a thing as a careful courier, it more often than not gets damaged on the corners, and it just doesn't instill a lot of confidence in what you've purchased. With Clifton Cameras, they pack these in bubble wrap and then in a nice strong outer box, and they do a really very good job. Now, the AX53 shoots video in up to 4K, 25p in the UK, in NTSC regions 30p. Really good quality 4K video, so I might even use this for a few of my pre-recorded videos as well. But this one is connected via the micro HDMI into my Elgato Cam Link, and then that in turn is connected to my Mac Pro, which is handling the live broadcast. Really good performance, nice bright image, a lot better performance than the previous AX33, I think it was called. And it works extremely well. It just seems to be a very solid image. I'm looking at my monitor here to see what you're seeing, and it's a nice evenly lit colour, nice and natural colours as well, not over punchy and over saturated. And it was that focus, it really was the focus. Let me give you another close up of this. I mean, just look at that focus. It really goes in nice and quickly. And I was having real problems with the live broadcast previously where I was trying to show you products. So that is the camera. That's a really good choice, I think, for live broadcasts. I had looked at sort of higher end models, but decided to go for the AX53 because it was a little bit more of a sensible investment for the future and for the business. So let's take a look in the comments before I talk to you about these products, and then we'll get on to the tech recap. So we have got loads of you in. Thank you very much for joining in on the live broadcast. We have also got Deans, Paul, Joe, and also Raymond, Matt, Igor and Darren all in the live broadcast, and plenty others of you as well. Thank you very much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. We'll take a few questions later on. If you do want your question highlighted, Super Chat is there, but I will try and answer as many as I can. Let's talk a little bit before we move on to iPhone 10 and other tech related bits about these two products from Anker. I can never remember the model numbers on this, but I've got a PowerCore 26800 UN power bank. This is a portable charger or external battery, and then more or less identical box. This is a different model. This is the PowerCore 26800 PD, which stands for power delivery. And I'll explain why that is in a moment. So let's look at the non-PD version first. So this is what I would call the regular version, and it is one of these battery packs again. I showed you these in the last broadcast, but this has got a 26,800 milliamp hour capacity. Little LED lights on the side to show how much capacity is left. Each one represents about 25%. And then we've got 2 micro USB ports and then 3 USB ports on this side here. So plenty of ports, and this is used for charging your devices whilst you're out and about. Now these have got IQ technology, so that means that they will actually adjust the amp output on this to suit your device to give you the quickest charge possible. And 26,800 milliamp hours is enough to charge your smartphone roughly about 10 times from 0 to 100%. If you reckon on 8 to 10 times, then that's probably what you get. But just a really well built compact battery pack. Now the PD model is pretty much the same size. This is a lot more expensive, this PD model. This has got a metal casing instead. When you push the button, you get little LED lights come around the power button just there. Now you might think, why is this more expensive? Because on this side here we have got 2 USBs and 1 USB-C. So why are you paying more for the same capacity but less ports? Well, the PD version stands for power delivery. This gives enough output to charge a MacBook Pro, a MacBook, or something like a Nintendo Switch, which has got quite a high sort of current draw for charging the battery. So this can be used for charging the laptop that I'm streaming this broadcast on, or indeed pretty much any Ultrabook or laptop that charges via USB-C. So a really good option if not only have you got smartphones to charge while you're out and about, but you want this extra capacity on your laptop or Ultrabook as well. I think this is a really cool device, a very powerful device. So I'll put links to both of these. In fact, they're already there. There are links to both of these down in the video description area. So if you want something that will actually charge your laptop as well, I'm just looking for the actual capacity or the output ampage on this. So I think it outputs, I think it's a 3 amp output on this one. It's written very lightly on the side here. But the actual model number of this is PowerCore Plus 26800 with USB-C power delivery. So a very good option. I just love these battery packs and power banks. They're so useful. And Anker do a fantastic job. Great customer service as well. So let's take a look in the comments, and then we'll get on to talking about the iPhone 10, see if there's any questions in here. Darren Bird says, how much is the camera? The Sony AX53, I think in the USA is around about the $675 mark, and in the UK it's around about the £700 to £750 mark. I think the cheapest price I've seen in the UK is $699, which is a lot to pay for a camcorder. They're not very popular nowadays. A lot of people are moving to mirrorless systems with interchangeable lenses, or indeed using DSLRs. But for myself, I just wanted something that I could actually power off of the mains. I know you can get adapters for some DSLRs and mirrorless cameras, but I wanted something that you could actually plug in to the mains power so it wouldn't run out of battery. I've got the option of using it portable as well, so if I want to stream from an external location I can. If I want to use it for recording I can, and if I want a quick pick up and go camera, or perhaps I'm getting some help with a video, somebody who's not familiar with my GH5, they can just pick this up and record really good 4K video. And as I mentioned before, it's great for streaming. We're getting a 1080p stream out of this direct to YouTube, a very rock solid picture. So I think it was a very good choice. Time will tell, but I do think it will work out very well. DLRP fans is saying I do all of my YouTube videos with the Sony AX53. That is awesome news, and you're very satisfied with it. That is really good to hear. Very, very pleased to hear that. Graceland 2017, Davo, how is your LG 10kg washing machine? It is mighty fine. It does a really good job. It's actually a connected washing machine, works with the SmartThings app from LG, and it tells me when the washing's done. I can set it to start remotely, and it just works extremely well. It's a very, very good machine. Yes, the connectivity, like the Wi-Fi connectivity, is a little bit gimmicky, but you can use it to download extra programs, and I think it's just good to see this sort of technology being implemented, I should say, into the kitchen. Raymond Moore says, is camcorder better than DSLR? Let me just grab what I was using for the live broadcasts. So I had this mic on the top because I was recording as a backup as well. So I was recording 2 SD cards as well as broadcasting. This is the Panasonic GH5 with a Panasonic 12 to 35mm lens on it. This is probably about 4 to 5 times the price of the Sony AX53 that I'm using now. What it allows you to do though is get a much shallower depth of field. So when I was broadcasting before using this, you'd have seen some isolation between me and the background. The background would have hopefully been a little bit out of focus when the camera actually focused on the right thing. I had face detection switched on this as well, and it did a really good job. But I was powering it off a battery, so I had to put a fresh battery in for every live broadcast, or invest in one of these sort of AC adapters for it, which would have been another about £120, unless I went for a cheap third-party option. And the focus on this, the autofocus, is not fantastic. The best cameras for autofocus, DSLR-wise, are Canon with their dual pixel autofocus. But I'm invested heavily into Micro Four Thirds. That wasn't an option for me. But if you want that sort of shallow depth of field, a DSLR or a mirrorless camera is the way to go. But for live broadcasts where I need the camera to keep everything in focus, I don't mind if the background's in focus. You can see my little pop vinyl figures up there, and you can see my other bits and pieces up there as well. I don't mind that at all. As long as it's got nice crisp video and it does a good job for me, then I'm absolutely fine with it. So I'm really pleased with my decision. Graceland, Dave, could you do a video of the turbo cycle in the LG 10kg washing machine? In all fairness, I'm sorry to disappoint you, I probably won't be doing another video on the LG washing machine. It was just the one, it was a sponsored video. I was completely transparent about that, and I won't be doing another one. So, but the turbo, what the turbo cycle does is you can select pretty much any program. It doesn't work with all of them, but pretty much all of them. And then you can hit turbo cycle on the touch panel, and then it just cuts the sort of wash cycle time by round about sort of 20%, something like that. Between say between 15 and 25% or thereabouts. Doesn't work with all the cycles though. DLRP fan says the Boss system on the video camera is not available on a DSLR. That is very true. A lot of DSLRs and Micro Four Thirds cameras and mirrorless cameras have some sort of image stabilization, either in the lens, the body, or combination of both. So they do a really good job. But the Sony AX53, this camera here, I've currently got the Boss system switched off. It's called Balanced Optical Steady Shot, I think it stands for. And the lens, you can actually see it moving around as if you're hand holding the video camera, and it does such a good job of stabilizing the image. So if you're doing video on the move, it's a fantastic choice. It really is. So anyway, let's get on to, we're already 14 minutes in. I have digressed from the main topic, which is to talk about what's happened in the past week. I have been personally testing the Samsung Galaxy Note 8 I'm thoroughly enjoying it. Fantastic screen. I've also used the camera a lot more now and really thoroughly enjoying the camera performance on the Note 8. And also I have been experimenting with launchers, and what I found by trying Action Launcher and Nova Launcher is that the Samsung experience, so the stock sort of launcher that Samsung give you, is pretty darn good. I've been really impressed with it. I was so convinced that I wouldn't like it that I was looking at launchers prior to getting the Note 8 and trying to decide which ones to try first. And yeah, they were nice. They did add some functionality, but the Note 8 is great with its standard user interface, and once it gets upgraded to Android Oreo version 8 or 8.1, whichever one they launch with, it's going to be even better. So I'm really pleased with the stock experience on it. Not stock Android, but what Samsung give you, I should say. Also to talk about today is, of course, what happened yesterday. A lot of people were up very late or very early in the morning, or for me it was around about sort of 5 to 8 that I started looking at the Apple Store, which was of course down for them putting the iPhone 10 available for pre-order. And it was a smooth experience for me. Not for everyone. A lot of people doing upgrades or in the US buying through carriers had some issues with extra security checks, etc. But for me, the store came up at around about 8:04 AM. I was refreshing it on both my computer here, also on my iPad and my iPhone, and at 8:04 it came back online. I did a few clicks because I had the iPhone 10 in my favourites. I think I did about 6 or 7 taps on the screen in total through the checkout process, and it was all done. And then I set the camera up. That was the fun part. For me, the ordering was sort of business, because it's to actually be able to share my experience with you on the Geekanoids channel. But the fun part was afterwards, was when I was doing the live broadcast, which was so much fun, interacting with everyone in the chat who were all telling me about their experiences, what they'd ordered, what their delivery dates were, whether it had been frustrating or it had gone through smoothly, whether they'd done it on the desktop or a mobile device. And it was just really nice to hear from all of you about which models you'd ordered and how excited you were about it. The chat on that Friday morning was very, very positive, and it was really uplifting for me, as well as hopefully for those of you who were taking part. And I'm pointing towards my computer because I can see the chat down here as well. So if you ordered an iPhone 10 and you didn't join yesterday's live broadcast, you can watch that video now. And if you want to tell me about your experience in the chat in this broadcast, then please do. Let me know what iPhone 10 you purchased, or if indeed you gave the iPhone 10 a miss. Maybe you've gone for an iPhone 8 or 8 Plus, or maybe use an Android smartphone. Always happy to chat about that sort of technology. For me, I'm still considering the switch to Android. The Note 8 looks like a really good proposition, but I do want to hold out until I've handled and experienced the Pixel 2 XL. Even though it's got issues, I am aware of all the issues that it's got. So let's have a look back down into the chat. Graceland 2017, what do you think of Beats headphones? They used to be very bass heavy. Now they seem to have refined their sort of sound signature a little bit. They're not as bass heavy as they used to be. I experienced the very latest Solo HD3s, I think they're called, since Apple purchased Beats, and the sound signature is a lot better. A lot of the bass heavy sound has gone, and the overall tonal quality and openness of the audio I think has improved a great deal. So really very impressed with the change that they made. I think it needed that change. Gola97, I get the feeling you're going to stick with iOS and not going down the Android option. Are you still open to see what Android can offer you? Of course, absolutely. I've sort of convinced myself that I'm not going to like the notch on the iPhone 10. Admittedly, it's only from videos I've seen, and admittedly, I need to actually get one in my hands. But I just think that the workaround that developers have to go through to get their UI to fit around the notch, and what we're going to have to go through as users with the user experience, is not convincing me yet. So I still absolutely love, the best experience I've had so far, because I really don't like iOS 11 on my iPhone 7 Plus, is the Note 8. I like the Pixel 2, a little bit too small for me because I'm used to larger screen smartphones now. The Note 8 has been really good for me so far. David Hepworth says, I've heard that Samsungs don't have good video quality but great photos. I had a look at the 4K video capture on the Note 8 and I was very pleased indeed. It was absolutely superb. Igor Goldstein says, used the app to order the silver 256GB. Also have a Pixel 2 XL. That's really interesting that you have a Pixel 2 XL as well. How are you finding it? I've heard good things, also bad things. I've heard a lot of people really focusing in on the screen problems, but certainly the camera, wow, that is so good. The dynamic range of the camera on both the Pixel 2 and the Pixel 2 XL is really very good indeed. Such good photos, and the isolation when using the portrait mode is just amazing. They've done a fantastic job for a single lens camera to be able to do that portrait mode and blur out the background and get that DSLR-like quality is just amazing. They've done a really good job of software. And again, the user experience I had on the Pixel 2 was really good. Nice and smooth, nice and fluid. None of this sort of stuttering that I'm experiencing on iOS. So it's going to be an interesting few weeks for me and an interesting few weeks for everyone else, because I think a lot of people were very tentative about Apple's recent announcements. They sent out mixed messages by announcing both the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus and the iPhone 10 at the same event. So a lot of people weren't sure whether to stick with what they knew, like the design they knew, with the square screen, or I should say rectangular screen with sort of normal corners, or whether they should wait for the iPhone 10. And then of course the price point of the iPhone 10 did put a lot of people off. So it was an issue for a lot of people. So let's take another look inside the chat, see what other questions we've got. Dean6571 says, I went from iPhone 7 to iPhone 8 Plus, which I think was a worthwhile upgrade. Don't know how I managed on the small screen. I would never go back. I felt the same when I went up to the larger screen iPhone. I don't think I could go back to the smaller screen one now. And even with my potential switch to Android, I can't see me going back to a smaller screen Android phone either. So it is strange. Once you've got used to that larger screen, it's very difficult to change. Deepak Murthy says, I got the 256 Space Grey iPhone 10. I live in Italy, ordered it at 9:04. My delivery is 3rd of November. Awesome. Really pleased you got it on launch day. Raymond Moore says, congrats on the pre-order, Dave. Can't wait to see the unboxing and review. Coming soon, of course. And I will do it in a live broadcast rather than pre-recorded, I think. David James, I ordered the iPhone 10 yesterday while at work. The app took a couple of minutes to get into, but it was a great experience. Delivery date 2 to 3 weeks. Not too bad. So you missed the initial batch, but 2 to 3 weeks will fly by. It really will. Igor Goldstein says, I have a yellow tint instead of the blue tint. Wow, like others. Which makes the screen warmer, but awesome device. And you're talking about the Pixel 2 XL there. Liam stuck with his iPhone 8, a wise choice, a really good smartphone. And DLRP fans is going to wait a bit. It's got the 7 Plus, and it still does all that I want. Wise move. You don't always have to upgrade to the latest and supposedly greatest smartphone. A good example of this is the original Pixel and Pixel XL. Still work fantastically even today. People are still really pleased with the performance of the original Pixel devices. They've lasted very well and show very little signs of slowdown. So it goes to show that hardware is important, but also the software is of equal importance, because it gives you a good user experience and good longevity in the use of a device. So you don't necessarily have to upgrade on this yearly cycle. I think it's a very good thing to learn that about smartphones, like previous generation smartphones. Joe Lang, thank you very much. Joe Lang says he's loving the live videos. I really do appreciate that. I absolutely thoroughly enjoy doing them, because I love the interaction in the comment section. Audi 123000 says he's still loving his S7 Edge from Samsung. Again, a really great smartphone. Dean6571 says, I've heard that many apps for the iPhone 10 won't have support for the notch on day one. What are your thoughts? I think that is going to be the case. I've thought about that quite a lot myself. Obviously, developers get a head start and they can start to integrate how the UI is going to go around the notch, or whether it's going to avoid it completely. And as with most upgrades, we've had upgrades before where things weren't optimized for the larger screen or at higher resolutions, you had large text. A little bit more annoying that the notch isn't going to be integrated into the UX, but it will happen. Okay, it's not going to be day one, but I think that all of the mainstream apps and the really popular apps are going to be working really hard to make sure if it's not on day one, it's very, very soon after, because they're going to get lots and lots of complaints. So it will happen, but just not on day one. But it is concerning. I hope it's not too long a wait. Couldn't be anything worse than if you've got a favourite app that then doesn't integrate with the notch very well. Imagine if, like, my YouTube app or the YouTube Creator app that I use a lot, or my bank app, doesn't work properly and I can't see exactly what the transactions are. I think I'm rich and it'll be hiding the decimal point or something, and it'll be like, oh my goodness, the bank is almost empty. So, but you could always, if you do get apps that don't support the notch, you could, I know you shouldn't have to, but rotate your phone around the other way and then the notch will be on the opposing side. So there are sort of workarounds. Yeah, watch this space to see what I really think about it when I've actually experienced it for myself. Raymond Moore says, how was the experience of iOS 11 on the iPhone 8 Plus? It wasn't that great. It was better than on my iPhone 7 Plus, but there was still lots of stutters, lots of app crashes, email, especially in the mail app. I would select multiple emails to delete, and then it would freeze and I'd have to shut it down or swipe it away and then wait for the delay while it started again. There were so many issues. Wasn't a good experience on the iPhone 8 Plus, but as I say, better than on the iPhone 7 Plus, purely because we got a little bit of speed increase. Deepak Murthy says, Dave, your YouTube colleague Chris Brillo has moved from iPhones to the Pixel 2 XL, same as you. I watch Chris's videos regularly. We also chat occasionally as well on social media, and great guy. Absolutely love his content. Really glad to see Chris is back to doing a lot more live broadcasts like myself, and also glad to see that he's really embracing the Android ecosystem as well, and really getting to grips with how he's going to make that switch across from iOS to Android. Really interesting to watch. Jesse James, if you decide to go Android with the Note 8, do you think the Samsung S9 would be something to look forward to? Sure. You know, it's always going to be interesting to see the new devices. Whether I'd upgrade to it, I don't know, but always interesting. Oh, the pressure's on. Danny Johnson says, I'm going to wait until I see your review of the iPhone 10 before I decide if the notch is bearable. Well, I hope I do it justice. I will, obviously, as always, I'll, as always, be as absolutely honest and impartial as I can. Well, I will remain impartial, but I'll be as honest as I can. I always really sort of pride myself on telling you how it is, and I appreciate you saying that you're going to wait until you hear my opinion. So stay tuned. I'll do it as soon after I get the iPhone 10 as possible. Obviously, I'll give you my initial impressions, but it'll take me a couple of days just to make a real proper judgment about the notch. David James says, I think next year will be interesting to see what Apple do. If they move to the iPhone 8 style design or go completely with the iPhone 10 design, it will be very interesting. I have got a hunch that they will find a way of integrating all of the sensors into a much narrower bezel at the top, and they will get rid of the notch. That's what I think. Frugal Tech. Hello to you, Bruce. Thank you very much for tuning in. Off topic. Why doesn't Canon offer 4K in its crop sensor DSLRs? The reason they don't do that, Bruce, is purely because it will cannibalise the sales of their higher end cinema or EOS cinema line. That is the only reason. They've got, I think the XC10 comes in with 4K and the XC15, and then of course we've got the 5D Mark, I might get this wrong, 4, I can't remember the model number, and the 1DX Mark II, and other ranges that go upwards in price. if they offered 4K in their DSLRs at the moment, it would cannibalise sales. If they bow to peer pressure, because they're getting a lot of pressure from users, we might find that next year we start to see it filter down. So something like the 90D, for example, you might see 4K, because they're going to have to do it eventually. They are going to have to filter down the 4K capability to their lower end cameras. But we don't see it as much now, because they are blinkered in their vision that they can't affect these sales. So let's just give people great DSLRs, and video is just a bonus for them. That's my honest opinion about that. Igor Goldstein says, did I change away from TouchWiz launcher? Getting tongue tied. Did you change the TouchWiz launcher on the Note 8? I still mucked it up even then. And I did. I tried Action Launcher and Nova Launcher, and then went back to the standard launcher and user interface. David James says, love the live streams. Thank you very much. Dean6571, is there an embargo on iPhone 10 reviews until it's officially released? I'm pretty sure that there is an embargo in place, but Apple do not talk to me anymore, not for a few years, which is quite sad. I used to actually attend their store openings, and I used to take photos from inside the store. So I would go in probably about an hour before the store opened, so I felt very privileged. Knew a lot of the staff members at the store, and the PR guys used to come down, and I used to take photos of the store while it was empty, and then I used to take some photos and video of the store actually opening and the first person coming in. And they didn't like something that I did one year, and it seemed to have changed all that. So I don't actually get loaned devices anymore from Apple, which is a little bit sad. But again, if I buy them in, I'm not under any pressure. Not that I would be under any pressure if they gave me the phone, but you sort of feel obligated not to say nice things all the time with Apple, but you certainly feel that extra pressure. You know, should I construct my sentence in this way? You know, should I say the notch is crap, or should I say the notch could have been implemented better? And you see a lot of these tech reviewers really not saying anything bad about Apple, and I do think that it's because they're on the list. I hate to say it, you know, I really do. And I did, I think, 2 bad things in total, and I never got replies after said issues. Enough said. I'm just saying. Just saying. Deepak Murthy, which phone will be your Android daily driver? Note 8 or Pixel 2? It won't be the Pixel 2. It'll either be the Note 8 or the Pixel 2 XL. David James, wouldn't it be great if they also put the bezel-less design on the iPad next year, along with an OLED display? All I will say to you, David, on that front is, as long as they don't include the notch. Imagine the next iPad having the notch. Oh my goodness, it is going to be uproar if they put the notch on the iPad. And let's take this as the last question. The last question comes from Bruce of Frugal Tech. So, what did you do with that Alienware PC? It is in another location. It's still being used within the Geekanoids business. It's being mainly used for Photoshop, for image processing, and also for a lot of business tasks and some gaming, but not a lot of gaming really, because it's really just for business use. It's total overkill, totally overspec'd for what it's being used for now, but I just could not bring it into my video editing workflow. I work on Macs, Final Cut Pro 10 for me, and I was having so many problems. I tried to import footage at the time from my GH5 and edit in Adobe Premiere Pro, and I wasted probably about 3 or 4 days with no end result. It was an absolute nightmare. But that's just my experience. Other people get on fine with using Windows 10 machines for video editing. It just wasn't for me, so it's being used elsewhere in the business. So anyway, that is it for this live broadcast. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll try and do this on a more regular basis at the weekends, because I know a lot of you are off work at the weekends. Can't guarantee it because my schedule is so busy throughout the week, and I even end up doing work on commercial videos at the weekend sometimes as well. So I try and grab these opportune moments to link up with you guys and it's a really good thing to do, so I will try and do it as often as I can. So thanks again everyone for tuning in. Have a fantastic weekend wherever you are, and I'll see you all in the next one.